Okay, we got Judgment Day has come for live service games. Oh, not Judgment Day from your boy Legendary Drops.
We are in the calm before the storm, the eerie
Ooh.
silence before the first shot is fired.
Ooh.
Live service games, almost entirely across the board, have been losing players, losing relevance, and hemorrhaging money. While the
Really? I thought that was everybody's favorite type of game. The live service game. You know, just be a free to play Andy for your entire life. Don't pay nothing. Don't unlock no pay to win. I wonder why that is. Is it because some of these live service games don't really care about the casual free to play player? Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, shit. Are the whales tired of spending money on the already well established live service games? Probably. Maybe Sony shouldn't have scrapped those 20 live service games that they were going to release. You know? Maybe they shouldn't have. It would have gave the whales something to whale out on.
the exact same time, every major publisher is rushing to go and make the next live service game, or they are desperately clinging on to their existing ones, trying to stay afloat, not realizing that's exactly what's causing this problem in the first place. Because something's been going on, but nobody's caught wind of it. And it makes a lot of sense. In most cases, we look at gaming failures in a case-by-case basis rather than zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. But when you...
Ooh, that's good. It's good to do both. You look at the case-by-case basis and you zoom out and look at the entire landscape.
You see that the foundation is starting to crumble. You look around and you see that every player in every community is complaining about the exact same things. You see prices that are skyrocketing and quality that's plummeting.
Yep.
You see microtransactions become
macro transactions. Blizzard's over here wanting you to pay $40 to $60 for a legendary skin. Motherfucker, I can get a whole game for that.
Main priority of these companies. Monetization become the main priority of these companies, and at the exact same time, communities are dying. You see that content creators and streamers who have built their entire career around single games have lost relevance at a rapid rate, and that's
at least among the live service game industry. You know, many years ago I would have said, ooh, live service games are for casuals and single player standalone games are for hardcore people. It is the opposite now. It is. Live service games are for hardcore people that have nothing but time on their hands. If you're a casual, you should go, honestly, spend your money on a standalone game. A one and done. You could beat it at your own pace. There's no FOMO. There's no rotating store with cosmetics. There's no fear of missing out. There's no pay to win. I mean, shit, in all honesty, if you're going to go play a standalone game, there's probably some guides for it if you can't really beat it. A lot of standalone games have a lot of difficulty modifiers. And what you do with difficulty modifiers is you extend the lifetime replayability of the game. Let's say you play the game first time, play it on either easy or normal. You unlock hard, you play it again on hard, and you play it again on super hard maybe. Maybe your game has like a good guy playthrough, a bad guy playthrough, or like multiple different endings you want to go get. Maybe you want to play the game again with like a different class to get a different perspective. Maybe play the game once as a guy, play the game once as a girl, or play the game as like something in between, whatever.
A sign of decay. That's a sign of collapse. These are warning signs that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. The industry has overvalued live
we're paying attention. I love paying attention.
service games to a reckless degree while undervaluing single player games or just, day one paid for experiences. And most of them have completely abandoned them. Look at EA. They come forward and believe that Dragon Age the Veilguard failed because a lack of live service elements.
Oh yeah, I saw that article. I saw that video. What? I don't think a bigger barrel of copium could have existed. That is the biggest barrel of copium I have ever heard. the game failed because it wasn't live service. Bro, if this is the reality that this guy 100% genuinely believes, you gotta understand, and like, what's the implication? What's not being said for this example? EA CEO bro thinks live service, since the game wasn't live service, the game failed. That is not the reason. The game failed because it it had a target audience, but there wasn't enough people buying it. The game was bad. Nobody gave a shit about the story. It just was not the usual Dragon Age formula that Dragon Age 1 was. You know, understandably, every subsequent Dragon Age was like hit or miss. 2, nobody played. 3, I thought it was pretty good. I played it multiple times. But yeah, it was just a bad game. Period. It was very immersion breaking. Horrible. So what's the implication? If he thinks that's his reality, if he thinks that the reason the game failed is because it wasn't live service, then me as like a regular Joe, I think I can't help but think there are other CEOs that think like that. And if that's the case, there are probably other people in higher positions just in life in America that also think like that. I know this is kind of off topic, but hey, this is an issue that a well-established adult has with a lot of influence. I mean, he's a CEO. And if he is this delusional, you have to think that other people are like this with this amount of delusion.
Yeah, this is reality. What world do we live in? The best selling and most talked about games over the past few years have almost all been single player games. And I think the vast majority of people will probably agree with me on that.
Well, you know, it's like the most hype you will see online are going to be from single player games, just because like when people just game hop from like single player game to single player game, it's like a one and done type of deal. Okay, it's like you're trying to compare like the peaks of single player games, and then you know you stop talking about it and it happens for like a month. Like it's cruising at like a month, or maybe 2 months even, and it's like, oh, it's awesome, and then it just completely dies because everyone beats the shit out of the game, like this way, that way, north, south, east, west, every which way of the game, and then it goes down to zero relevance compared to like a live service game, which is like a new thing came out, and then it goes back down to kind of like stable numbers, and then a new season comes out, and then it goes back down to stable numbers, and then or like a new character comes out, and then it goes. I mean, you can kind of compare them. It's kind of comparing like red apples and green apples and like yellow. Like, yeah, they're all apples, or maybe they're all kind of fruit. You know.
Those are the games that I remember the most, at the very least. Today, what I want to do is I want to talk about the slow drain on relevance in live service games, the exhaustion of the player base, and why putting all your money and betting all your money on live service has now become a death sentence.
Yeah.
The industry is changing, and I don't think they're ready for it. Now, every single year we go through the same cycle. Players and content creators debating whether or not their favorite live service game is finally dying. World of Warcraft.
I mean, isn't it inevitable for all games to eventually become dead? In the case of single player games, it happens like very fast. In the case of live service games, it may happen over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I mean, the video games as a whole industry is only what, like 30 years old? There haven't been a lot of live service games that have been there like in the beginning. Like, what's one of the longest standing ones? Like Counter-Strike, I would say. Counter-Strike's been around for a while, dude. And you have good old World of Warcraft. WoW's been around for a while. What else? Fortnite. It's starting to get up there, but like it's not comparable to like CS or WoW. PUBG's been around for a hot one. Destiny's been around for a little bit. Warframe, 10-ish years-ish, yeah. I mean, we haven't really, we're like in the middle. I mean, we're not in the middle, but like, we're still like seeing everything evolve.
Warcraft, Final Fantasy, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, virtually every major title goes through one of these phases. And for years, it's mostly been hyperbole. But now, it's slowly
Wait, wait. What was that?
It's mostly been hyperbole.
Wait, maybe it's just Asmongold killing games. Yeah, man, 100%. He plays a game and then he just stops playing the game and then, yeah, sure.
But now, it's slowly becoming all but inevitable. Whether it's general fatigue, lack in content, financial strain, new game releases, or unchecked issues, players are leaving live service games in droves right now. I've mentioned this before.
This is like this weird like CEO developer like fever dream of like having a player play a video game, a singular video game every single solitary day for the rest of their life, which is not the case. Like, you are an outlier if you are that. And even the people that are outliers, like 10K, 20K, 30K hours in one game, they play other games still. This type of person where I solely play like one game every waking hour of the day that I have off, this person doesn't exist. I'm willing to bet this person does not exist. No shot.
But Call of Duty has lost nearly all of the players that it gained from the launch of Black Ops 6. A dip.
Good. Call of Duty deserves to be in the mud, the muck of dogshit games.
Retention is normal. But this isn't a post-launch fall-off. This is a catastrophic collapse. And
Good.
It's not just Black Ops 6. The Steam launcher is tracking Call of Duty Warzone as well, meaning that all numbers across the board are plummeting.
I love it.
YouTube and Twitch metrics are telling the same story. Content creators who have built their audiences around Call of Duty are seeing a fraction of their normal viewership.
I love it. The only thing developers understand is money. That's all they, when they don't get the money, then they will change the game. Until they start to see, feel that dent in their pocket, they will not change their game.
Apex Legends lost 70% of its player base in just 1 year, and all the complaints between these two games is almost identical.
I stopped playing that game too. I'm just over it. It's like so many bugs. The time to kill is so long. Jesus. Visual clutter,
of content, reusing cosmetics rather than creating anything new, content that raises the skill ceiling and alienates casual players, persistent bugs and performance issues, rampant cheating, and yet somehow,
Oh yeah, I forgot, relative to FPS games, the cheating. Ugh. Apex is still doing manual bans. Oh god. That's disgusting. You guys haven't solved this issue yet. Jesus. Can we get Trump to sign an executive order to solve this thing? Holy.
Some way, the only thing these developers seem to prioritize is monetization. Players are bored, fatigued, and frustrated, while these companies behind these games keep extending their hands asking for more money.
I'm so happy I walked away from like most live service games. Like the last live service game I spent money on was Warframe. And I say I got my money's worth out of it. I don't think, I mean, I'm 35. I don't think I'll ever spend another dime on live service game. I don't care if all my friends are dropping big buku bucks on it. I don't care. No more. That time has came and gone.
And this has been a consistent trend because last year, Ubisoft reconfigured their battle pass for Rainbow Six Siege, increasing prices, removing rewards, not adding any new content to the game, while asking players if they'd like to purchase a membership to keep playing the game. Many live service studios have tunnel vision profit and have completely lost sight of the quality of their product and the service that they're supposed to be delivering. That's why they're losing players. I mean, look at what's going on with League of Legends. Riot has always been a studio, for the most part, that has been frequently celebrated by its players. But recently, the developers stepped forward to explain that while player retention is stable and revenue is up, they've come to realize that Hextech chests, a free reward path that many players
I just watched this. Yeah, this is hilarious.
made their primary way of earning free cosmetics, is somehow not sustainable anymore. And quote, "We are giving away too much free stuff. Guys,
Oh my God. The players, they're not spending the money anymore. We're not getting the money." And I said this when I watched this video, and I'll say it right here again. You know how, like when you were like a little kid, or not even as a kid, even if you were to get like some financial advice from like, I don't know, like some financial advisor or whatever, talking to like a regular Joe, whatever, you know, what's one thing they say? Save your money, guys. Start making that little 6 month, what do you call it? Little emergency fund of like half a year of a salary. Save your money. Why can't any of these businesses, when they have a banger year, where's all the money go? Understandably, yeah, you got like your overhead, your maintenance fees, you got to pay everybody, building costs, this, that, the other, whatever. But what? Why does it have to be so black and white? Why is it that you can't just have like a cruising year? You have to make like record profits, like 2 billion, 3 billion. Oh, what a banger year. You can't. The moment you don't have a banger year, it's like the end. The end is nigh. Gotta shut down. Gotta go bankrupt. There can't be like a gray area at all.
we're making enough money, but we want more." That's essentially what they're saying here. Who the hell greenlit this? These dudes said, "We only want you to buy something when you feel it's worth it," yet you took away the only way.
Yeah, I will. I don't even play League, and honestly, there's nothing really wrong with that statement. If you like the game and you want to support the game, then yeah, go ahead, buy whatever. But what you shouldn't be doing is buying the skin because your friends are giving you peer pressure, or God forbid you get stuck in some sort of like matchmaking system to where if you're a default skin Andy, it puts you in a match where everybody else has like a platinum god gold level sparkling, all the animations happening all over the skin type game to try to lure you into buying a skin. Oh, I'm just a default skin Andy, but look at that guy. He's all rizzed out. He's all dripped out. Supreme shit. Oh my God, I gotta get that. Psychology. Whoa. You shouldn't be buying a skin for that reason. You should buy a skin because you like the game developer. You like where they're going with the game. So you just want to toss them a couple bucks here and there.
Way for players to get free stuff. How did you think this is going to go over? Now, while many live service games have been struggling the past few years, much of it for self-inflicted reasons more than anything else, single-player games have been thriving. We are in the middle of a renaissance, with both indie and AAA games reaching massive audiences and delivering real satisfaction. Hogwarts Legacy outsold Call of Duty. Baldur's Gate 3 is still one of Steam's most played games. Black Myth Wukong shattered Steam's concurrent player records. Kingdom Come Deliverance made all of its money back within 24 hours, and the player numbers continue to rise. The list goes on. While live service games are still popular.
But guys, standalone games, like a one and dones, nobody wants to play those. No, don't invest in standalone games. They're bad.
We are witnessing a shift. Players are finding more value and are being more valued in single-player experiences. It's hard to ignore all the successes. And I think this is the key weakness in live service games and why they're struggling.
Oh, it's easy to ignore the successes because in the eyes of these big ticket CEOs, like a standalone game making its money back in 24 hours is not a success to them. A success is like $2 billion a year. That's a success. Anything less, they don't view it as a success. That is the warped reality that they live in.
Many single-player games still understand what players want, while live service games have lost sight of it entirely. The best single-player games aren't just selling gameplay, they are delivering a complete experience, a world worth investing in, a story worth following. Meanwhile, live service games have become nothing more than a financial experiment rather than a creative pursuit. Studios aren't building games for players anymore, they're building...
That is a fantastic point. Live service is a financial experience and not a creative pursuit. Holy, I couldn't have encapsulated that better.
Platforms to extract revenue. Every update, every feature, every design decision is dictated by retention metrics and engagement algorithms rather than genuine craftsmanship. The result? A stagnant, disposable gaming ecosystem where quality is an afterthought and player goodwill is traded for short-term profit. That's why I find it almost comical to hear that EA's Andrew Wilson, a man who has spent years gutting single-player franchises, is suggesting that Dragon Age the Veilguard failed because it lacked live service elements.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example of how disconnected these executives are from reality. They aren't just ignoring the industry's trends, successes, and failures.
They're too busy out on their yachts with Bobby getting advice on a business call. Okay, Bobby, what do I do? The game is failing. Oh, well, yeah, sure. Yeah, just implement this business tactic. Make bigger, better, more microtransactions for the whales and even like the mid-level people. They got a little bit like the 60, 70, 80K bro a years. They got a little bit extra money, come on. Make those guys feel like a whale.
Actively rejecting the lessons that they should be learning. In an article written by Todd Black of GamerRanks titled EA Boss Feels Dragon Age the Veilguard Failed Because of a Lack of Live Service Elements, Todd writes, video games can fail for multiple reasons, and not all of them is on the developer or publisher. There are plenty of cult...
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Who makes the game? The developer makes the game. And to some degree, the publisher has like a little bit of sway in how the game is made. So it is on solely the publisher and the developer to make a good game. Yes, you need the support of players to buy the game, but players don't buy bad games. They don't want to buy bad games. If they buy a game and discover it's bad, they're pissed. And you ruin your own reputation when a player buys a bad game or buys a game that they perceive as bad. The sole blame is always on the developers and the publishers, no one else.
Classic titles that were high quality games, it's just that many people didn't give them the chance. There are also times when games are high quality, but developers and publishers never gave them the big push marketing wise, so people really weren't aware of them and thus didn't buy them. Then there are games like Dragon Age the Veilguard, which had plenty of push from BioWare and EA, but it also had a ton of baggage in the public eye. And that was the key reason why it failed. However, that's not what...
Too much baggage, too much political bullshit. Tosh is a character. What? I forgot the damn line. What the hell was the line? I'm non-binary. That is immediately immersion breaking. Like, I'm out of there. Peace. Downvote, 1 star. I don't care about this stupid social issue. Whatever. I'm out.
Electronic Arts feels. While speaking at an investor call, as noted by comicbook.com, EA CEO Andrew Wilson made a bold statement claiming that the reason the BioWare RPG failed wasn't because of a lack in quality or marketing, but because the game didn't have any live service elements to help it connect with gamers.
You don't need live service to connect with gamers. You need a quality game to connect with gamers. You don't even need marketing to connect with game. Like, you need marketing to, like, have the, what is it? Why is this guy's name Kill Yourself Downs? I just noticed that. Oh my god. MILF Hunter Zorro. What are these names, dude? Oh my god. Oh, but okay. Okay. Yeah, you need marketing to have some sort of like, to reveal a brand, some sort of like, to have some sort of a brand identification. Sure. But players connect with good, high quality games. They don't connect with a game just because it's live service or just because they saw Megan Fox say their name in a commercial. Whoa.
Now, to make sure that I really drive home Andrew Wilson's words, because I want to make sure everybody understands this clearly, I'm going to do this in my best CEO voice, so give me just a second.
Indeed. Yes.
We know as a global leader in entertainment.
It's always like a hoity-toity, like English accent, dude. Oh my god.
Great titles, even when built and delivered with polished execution, can sometimes miss our financial expectations.
Name a game, CEO bro. We know as a leader global, even when built and delivered with what game was built and delivered with polished execution but failed financial? Name the game. If this is the dude he's like impersonating, he won't have an answer. Name a game that was so well polished and executed, but it failed. Name one.
In order to break beyond the core audience, games need to directly connect with the evolving demands of players who increasingly seek shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives in this beloved category.
Okay, this is a big cope sentence. In order to break beyond the core audience. No, you don't need to break beyond the core audience. If you make a game that caters to the core audience, other people will just see the hype of the good game and will be interested in it. Nobody wants to play John Soldier playing random military sim game. No, they want to play a highly specialized like type of game that they feel like caters to them specifically. They don't want to play a game for everyone. A game for everyone is a game for no one. How about them apples? Connect. Okay, games need to directly connect to the evolving demands. What evolving demands? Name them. You can't. Of players who increasingly seek shared world features. Okay, that's like random, whatever. Deeper engagement. Bro, I've been hearing this for fucking years. Deeper engagement. Well, that's a buzzword. Deeper engagement alongside high quality narratives in this beloved category. What category is Dragon Age, brother? You don't even know.
Dragon Age had a high quality launch, the biggest launch, probably
the biggest launch. There wasn't a launch bigger. No, it didn't. What the fuck was the damn launch? I mean, I'm gonna go back to Steam charts. Understandably, Steam charts isn't everything. Steam, the charts. Where the fuck is this? Dragon Age Veilguard. What the month peak players of 60K. Understandably, this also released on PlayStation and Xbox. Did it release on Nintendo console? I don't know. Whatever. And on PC, this is nothing, dude. 60K? That ain't shit. This is high quality? That ain't nothing.
probably the biggest launch ever.
The biggest launch ever.
And it was well reviewed by critics and those who
This is a perfect background right here. This is perfect.
played it. However, it did not resonate with a broad enough audience in this highly competitive market.
Oh, we tried to cater toward the people that were talking about certain social issues, and we quickly discovered not a lot of people give a shit about these certain social issues. God dang it. And like for me as a Dragon Age fan, and I am a Dragon Age fan, I played the shit out of the first one. I played the shit out of the third one. Second one, that's like a blip in time. What I don't know that. No, I'm a fan. And then now I have to look at this blip in time that is Veilguard. Failguard. Another blip. Another void zone that has happened in this awesome like IP. Another flop. How many more flops do we need to withstand?
Guys, I don't know what to say. Andrew Wilson isn't just out of touch. I don't even think this guy is on Earth. I'm starting to wonder if all these gaming CEOs all get together for a peyote retreat in the desert. Live service is becoming Scientology to these people.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that Dragon
True.
Age the Veilguard failed because of lack of
That was a CEO right there.
shared world experiences that players crave is laughable when the data shows that players aren't craving shared world experiences, they're craving good games, and they always have. By the way, keep in mind, he is the one that made the decision to revert the game from a live service game back into a single player game.
So, so is he saying it was my fault, guys? He didn't even mention that once in any of those articles. Sorry, guys, my bad. The game was being a failure was my fault. I removed the lives. There's no accountability. They won't even admit when they fucked up themselves. Zero accountability, zero responsibility. How are these guys in the positions that they are? This is so sad.
So if he had all this infinite wisdom, where was it when he made that decision? This isn't the first time that EA has tried to push this narrative. Back in 2017, Wilson said almost the exact same thing, that players just don't want linear games anymore like they did 10 years ago. And
EA believes players don't like little. You are so delusional. Well, what was the last linear game that you released to arrive to your conclusion? How did you arrive to this conclusion at all? Huh? What were the last couple games you guys released? Let me see if I can do a quickie. Last few games EA released in 2025, Jesus, and 2024. Okay, come on, Google AI. Sports college football. Okay, that is a live service dog shit game. Sports games or whatever. F1 24. I guess it's a racing game, but racing is like a niche kind of like genre. The Sims 4, I mean, it's a very niche genre. Dragon Age the Veilguard. This was supposed to be a banger. This was supposed to be a banger, but it wasn't. God damn it. Madden, who gives a shit? Live service, card pack opening, this is dog shit. The Sims. Niche. Extremely niche. I mean, probably Sims people are loving this shit. But is EA loving the amount of money that they're getting out of the Sims? Like, if you like Sims, you are swimming in like good games. You just are. Ooh, what's upcoming? Okay, last few games are released in. Okay, how about let's go in 2023. Sims 4, Madden, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I think this got, what did this get? Like mixed reviews. Apex was like a live service game. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's live service. You're getting all your money from there. Yeah. Battlefield 2024. Like, all you guys are doing is releasing, like, there's one standalone game for versus like 2042. Live service. Is Sims 4 live service, or is this just standalone? I mean, game played most in the game's franchise history. Okay, so you got two out of three. How about 2022? Live service. Jeez, why are they remaking Sims 4 over and over again? Live service Sims, live service EA. You guys are fucking retarded. All you're doing is making live service games. So it's completely understandable for you to reason and rationalize that only people want live service games because that's all you're releasing. And The Sims.
what was the result of that thinking? Well, EA shut down Visceral Games, the developers of Dead Space, one of the most beloved single-player studios that they had, because CFO Blake Jorgensen declared that they had to cut the bridge when you realize that you can't make a lot of money on something. And here we are years later watching EA continue the same move away from single-player games and pushing more into live service, blaming the Veilguard's failure on a lack of live service.
What do they want to do? Make Dead Space like 4 or something? Understandably, like with Dead Space, they made 1, Dead Space 2, and Dead Space 3, and every time it was like a decline of like people playing the game because the quality of the game was just bad. I played Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. Did I play 3? I played 2, and 2 was like, eh. And then 3, I saw the gameplay at 3, and that was just like so bad. Like the level design was just boring as shit. Yeah.
To me, is nothing more than a desperate attempt to justify a shift that's well underway. A shift where EA can quietly transition all of its studios into live service factories while cutting out single-player development entirely. Because to them, single-player is too expensive, too risky, and not profitable enough. And to me...
What? Single player is too expensive, too risky? So what? So what the fuck was Concord then? Not risky enough? Every time somebody makes a video about Concord, all I hear was like the budget of it just keep going up. What was the last thing I heard? Like 400, 500, 600 million to try to make this game come to life? Breathe like some life into this dead corpse of a game? No. This is again the delusion. The delusion of the people up top. They are so bad at their jobs.
Me, that's a death sentence. I think that by ignoring single-player successes and their value, these studios and publishers have lost sight of why players come to play games in the first place. And that isn't sustainable, and we're starting to see the signs of that now. Now, before I get into this, because this is a multi-layered issue that these games and these companies are suffering from, I don't have an issue with live service games. I love live service games. There's plenty of them that I play, but yeah. I think that these companies...
Live service games aren't intrinsically, inherently bad in the beginning. They just become bad and annoying once you get your fill of it. That's my opinion. Played the shit out of Warframe for like, what, 4-5 months? Ish. I was like, it's great in the beginning. It's great. Game loop. Missions. Yeah. End game. Yeah. Collect shards. More of in the end game. Collect all the cosmetics. Woo! I'm not a content creator. I'm not like someone that's gonna dedicate my life to the game. There's nothing else for me to do. I'm bored. I'm gonna stop playing. I had fun while I was there.
Have undervalued single-player games and complete paid experiences, and I don't think they understand those game successes, and I think they're failing to learn the right lessons. Players do not have the time, the money, or the energy to only play live service games. That's not sustainable. We need variety. And in a lot of ways, I think something that they've kind of forgotten is that single-player games kind of act as a loss leader, drawing people into a publisher's ecosystem, building rapport, creating credibility, and strengthening that studio's reputation.
Yeah.
Because reputation is a currency. YouTubers know this all too well. Every single time I take a sponsorship, I'm spending some of my reputation, but I can't make everything I do a sponsorship because reputation and respect has to be...
I know, what a problem it is to have to be just like drowning in sponsorships legs.
earned before it can be spent. And I think there's something to say about creativity as a currency as well. It needs to be generated and nurtured before it can be spent, and there is a finite amount of it. When you only focus on live service games, you are locking your developers into creative purgatory. They don't get to explore, take risks, or try something new. They're stuck, turning out the same shit, update after update, working on the same maps, the same mechanics, in the same game without ever learning anything new, never evolving. Hell, I recently spoke with current and former Call of Duty developers when I was getting ready to make this video, and I asked them about the issues that were plaguing their games, and they all pointed to the...
What do they say?
Exact same thing. They are never allowed to do any real engineering or creative work on the IP or its engine. It has effectively been the same thing for over a decade because Activision refuses to give them the time to improve it. Why?
Damn.
Because they have to ship a new Call of Duty every single year.
I thought they went back to the old 2-year thing. Did they not? Every 2 years you get a new COD. What happened to that thing? Dang. I thought they were just gonna tell you some like delusional bullshit that they had to like do a meeting of like talking points. I mean, that still probably happened, whatever. But I mean, seems reasonable.
Activision, from my perspective, is the poster child for abandoning single-player games and choking the life out of its own studios. They absorbed Neversoft and Radical Entertainment and then sent those developers into the Call of Duty mines. They killed creativity in exchange for predictable assembly line production, and now their games are suffering as a result of that. Why not let them go back and develop another Tony Hawk Pro Skater or a new Prototype sequel? Let Raven Software go make another Singularity. Let's see how that experimentation and creativity could be used in Call of Duty or maybe an entirely new IP in the future. This is why live service games are failing today. These companies are completely out of touch. Their games are devoid of creativity. They're pumping out copy-paste corporate slop that's only temporarily relevant before players inevitably just burn out from it. Live service isn't in
Players have been burned out for many years. Now, I would say it's how fast do you get burnt out if you're like a brand new player playing these games. Before, the burnout rate was probably like very long, but over the course of time, the burnout rate is like very short, I would say.
inherently bad, but the way that these executives have been handling it, well, it's a slow, creativity draining death march. Single player games, standalone titles, or traditional games are what built this industry. Live service games are just
I mean, shit, Call of Duty, you got the AI skins. You don't even have to do anything creative. You just let the AI make the skins and then you're good to go.
a product of that. They are what taught developers how to connect with players. They gave studios the time to understand what players actually want, to build mechanics that resonate, and to develop the skills that were necessary for them to succeed later on and create new things like live service games. But these executives don't see it that way. They don't see developers as creators. They see them as factory workers assembling the same generic product over and over again until they're burned out. And that's the real problem here. How creative do you think a developer can be if they've only ever worked on Call of Duty? What happens when you go to ask them to make something else? They can't.
I don't know how to make anything else. Could ChatGPT do that? Boo.
Haven't you guys noticed that every single time we see a game that's made by former Destiny, Call of Duty, or Battlefield developers, it just ends up looking like the same game that they've always made? The reason Activision doesn't make new games is because they forgot how to. And it's not just them. Franchise fatigue.
Bro, is the video game industry turning into Idiocracy the movie? I think it is.
Is killing single-player games too. Every Ubisoft open-world game feels like another Assassin's Creed reskin because nobody is allowed to branch out and try something new. But
I mean, they're trying something new on this one. On Shadows, they're trying something new on that one. We're gonna see how it goes.
instead of course correcting, EA, Activision, Ubisoft, and every other major publisher is chasing this model, and they're betting everything on short-term profit. And while it's worked before, and it might be working now in some cases, it's not going to work forever. Eventually, they are going to run out of players that are willing to put up with the same tired games and developers that are willing to make them. It really is a death march because they can't take their foot off the gas. They cannot stop. They have to keep moving forward. They have to keep making more live service games. They have to command all of their attention because if they don't, the investors are going to leave, and we can't have that. And the CEO, he's not going to make that big old bonus that he wants. Lord knows they don't suffer from any consequences for their actions.
True. Absolutely true. Except that one time where that one Nintendo CEO took a no bonus or a cut in wages that one year in order so he could like have all his workers maintain their paychecks and livelihoods. That one year, that was the GOAT. That's not the norm. That's an outlier.
They don't think about the long-term consequences of those actions on the companies that they have right now. They just rot them out and jump ship the second they get the chance to. And what ends up happening as a result is the longer that they pay attention to these games, the longer that these games command their full attention, well, the more damage it's doing to their audience because they're losing touch with that audience. They're not developing anything new. They're not giving their developers any creative freedom to grow and be better at their job or to improve the engine or whatever it might be. And what do you think is going to be the end result of that? Well, the foundation of some of these long-standing live service games is completely rotted out. It's just waiting.
Yeah, sometimes when you love something, you just need to like let it go. Are you really gonna have that same pair of like lucky underwear that you wear for every basketball game? Every time you wear it, you do good. It's like, no, dude, that's disgusting. Sometimes you just get a new pair of underwear and just let the other one go. Toss it out. It's bad.
Waiting for somebody else, a slight wind to come by and just topple the whole thing over. You know, I was wondering something recently. Why live service games feel so homogenous? And I know a lot of you guys have already experienced this. You look and you see a new live service game come out and you're like, that looks a lot like this other game, but just reskinned or a different theme or whatever it might be. And the reason why is because they just keep cycling these developers around.
Damn. You just call all the live service devs the community bike. Everybody's had a ride.
Concord, brought to you by the developers of Destiny 2, making Destiny 2 combat but boring and with ugly characters.
Oh my
We're getting
god.
Temu versions of games rather than anything genuinely fresh or new. 2K just fired the director of Project Ethos. Never heard of it? That's why they fired him. It's ex-Call of Duty veterans that are making a Fortnite copy, just a straight-up clone, but diverse. Sound familiar at all to you guys?
That sounds like another stinker, another dud, another blip on the radar, only to be washed out. Is this the reason there's like seldom like any innovation in the FPS genre or the shooter genre in general? I mean, shit, the only reason everyone likes, one of the only reasons like everybody likes Marvel is because it's third person. You get to see your skin that you just bought. Meanwhile, you pay for a cool ass skin in Overwatch, all you get to see is the hand. Same thing in Apex, all you get to see is the hand.
I mean, Xbox just hired the marketing and operations director of Concord for Halo.
Oh yeah, that's not gonna be good. If you think Halo or 343 breaking off and making their own Halo Studios, you look at everybody that is on that like employee list, over 50% of the employees came from 343, dude. It's that game is destined for failure yet again.
Because that's gonna work.
And in the case of Ubisoft, whenever they destroy Assassin's Creed Shadows, they are going to come back for Mass Effect. They're going to destroy once again, as if Andromeda didn't do enough damage, come back to Mass Effect.
The biggest issue that I see in these long-standing live service games.
You think Respawn is going to do a good job with Titanfall 3? Guess again. Titanfall 3 will be nothing like Titanfall 2. It's going to be riddled. It's going to be Call of Duty with wall running and all the same tropes of live services that that game has in it. Everyone's going to be hyped for a day and then quickly realize, oh, it's dang, it's just as bad.
Is that they are losing control of their games, they're losing touch with their audience, and they are unable to do anything about it because they just refuse to stop. Because all of these games, I'm telling you guys, go look, every single one of them is suffering from the same issues because it's the same people making the same game with the same updates, and they just cannot fix anything. They can never change, they can never evolve it, and they're just waiting for somebody else, some other competition to come by and just knock them out of their seat. And that's exactly.
You know what also it is? It's like nobody wants to take a chance like to create a new IP. It's like the same thing with the movie industry. Like with all the sequels, it's like Matrix 4, Matrix 5, Fast and the Furious 12. What are we doing? The games industry is just as bad as the movies. They're just trying to make another sequel. There are some outlier games that can do good. Black Myth Wukong. But those are few and far between.
Exactly what's going to end up happening. And the cycle is just going to continue over again. And in the case of like EA or Ubisoft or Activision, in their greed, They have stripped the forest bare. They have drained the talent, so there's not even a drop left. And now it's all going up in flames. And something that I don't think they realized, I don't know how they didn't see this coming. The fire's burning a little bit faster than they probably imagined.
Is it?
And the reason why, and it's something that I'm surprised a lot of other people haven't taken notice of, but did you guys know that in 2024 alone, PlayStation had 25 live service games hit their store? That's just on one platform.
Damn. But then they had like another 20 planned, but then they had to cancel those 20. No? I didn't know that.
You add Steam into that pool?
Yeah.
God.
That's a lot of live service. That's a lot of dailies. That's a lot of weeklies. That's a lot of monthlies. Look at all the challenges.
They all want the biggest catch. Too many fishermen, not enough fish. The pond isn't getting any bigger. It's drying up. See, the problem with chasing trends is that eventually the market is going to reach a saturation point, and live service gaming has already hit its breaking point. The industry's gold rush towards live service games was fueled by the idea of seemingly endless profits from games like Fortnite, Warzone, and Genshin Impact, but as more games have flooded the ecosystem, the reality has become painfully obvious that players are spread too thin, and the industry has created an environment in which, well, nothing feels permanent. When PUBG first popularized the Battle Royale genre, its audience was locked in. There was nowhere else to go, but now that audience is disseminated across countless games: Fortnite, Warzone, Apex Legends, Hunt Showdown, Escape from Tarkov, and the list keeps growing. There's more and more competitors. The same thing is now going on with hero shooters. Once Overwatch ruled unchallenged, but now Marvel Rivals has stolen its thunder. Valve's Deadlock is quietly making improvements, and niche competitors are picking away at the audience that's left. And here's the core issue. The more options that players have, the harder it becomes for any single game to retain its audience. In the past, live service games had a natural monopoly. Players stayed where they had to. Now, the second a game stumbles, well, there's already another game that's ready to take its place. Now, what makes matters even worse is that these companies haven't done anything to actually hold on to their audiences outside of trying to trap them in loops of sunk cost fallacy. They don't build communities, they build financial incentives to stay, flooding the games with battle passes, FOMO-driven events, and expensive cosmetics. But there's a massive flaw to that system. Once players leave, they don't come back. And why would those?
That is the truest true that has ever been true. I'm never going back to Apex. I'm probably not going ever back to Warframe. I played GTA in the beginning when it first came out, like 5. I'm not going back to that shit. The multiplayer online aspect. What else? I play a little bit of Marvel Rivals, but not for me. I'm not going back to that shit. You know what I will go back and do? I'll probably go back and play Assassin's Creed Black Flag at some point in my life. I'll probably go back and play Skyrim again. I'll probably go back and play Titanfall 2 again at some point. I'll probably go back and play Red Dead Redemption. I'll probably go back and play Armored Core 6.
Players come back, because it's not like any of these games are doing anything for them in the first place. They're not delivering on their needs. They're not fixing issues in their game. Heck, they're not even keeping up with industry best practices. Newer live service games like Marvel Rivals have non-expiring battle passes, allowing you to be able to progress it at your own pace. Games like Helldivers 2 are pushing regular, meaningful content updates without the need for excessive monetization. You can earn it all just by playing the game. Meanwhile, Fortnite, the king of live service games, is constantly reinventing itself, offering massive collaborations, completely fresh mechanics, and incentives that actually feel rewarding. What have these long-standing live service games done to keep up? Almost nothing. Call of Duty, Apex Legends, Destiny 2, they've spent years raising their prices, removing content, and doubling down on aggressive monetization while offering less in return. They aren't rewarding players' loyalty, they're punishing it. And I know this firsthand. When live service games were fresh, I spent money all the time. I'd buy skins, battle passes, cosmetics, all of it. But the more games that got released, I realized that none of it really mattered. The skins, the battle pass.
It doesn't. None of it matters. I mean, but also, on a philosophical level, what does matter? I think what matters is your experience and time with the game, and how much you either hated or loved the game matters. Not the skins that you bought. Maybe the skins that you earned. But it's just, The experience is what matters, honestly, not how much money you dropped on it.
Passes, the digital trinkets that I spent money on, all of this stuff was meaningless the moment that I stopped playing that game. And
Mm-hmm.
as I moved from game to game, I stopped spending almost entirely because I knew I would inevitably leave. Why
Yeah.
invest in something so temporary? Look
Yeah.
at Call of Duty. They've tied Warzone to every new entry release in the series, meaning that every single year that there's a new Call of Duty that comes out, all the skins that you purchased, all the camos that you earned, all the progress that you've made, well, it's all wiped entirely clean.
Yep.
Every year, players are starting out in a brand new microtransaction ecosystem where their
Yep.
past investments, both time and money, have been made entirely meaningless because Activision doesn't value your money. What is going to be the long-term effect on those players? This is the environment that the industry has created. In their greedy
Dang.
attempt to chase infinite growth, they've now turned every single game into a temporary investment, eventually conditioning players to never fully commit because, well, they know something new is right around the corner. And while we might not be seeing the full effects of this yet, I think we're starting to see the signs of it. EA's
Also, take this into consideration. So like, and this is a little bit outside of video games. Whenever somebody, so like, let's look at the new player acquisition rate. Let me just write this down. Oh boy. New player acquisition rate, player retention, and then, I mean, yeah, you know, when some of these live service games, like they started like just hanging around, they developed more and more metrics, and some of them were player retention. How long can we have a player log in every day and just keep playing our game? Because, you know, the more the player stays around, the more likely they are to buy some shit from the game. Great. And now you have player drop off. Like actually leaving. Like left for good. Leaving for good. Gone. What has been the trend that I have been hearing about country population, not just in America, but a little bit throughout the world? People aren't having kids anymore, or at least not as much as they used to. The trend was up. Now it's either leveled off or it's going down. That's the trend. But that's like a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year problem, something that's going to be more relevant in the future. Not so much now, or even maybe in the next 5 years. So when these companies think, oh, we just lost a player, we're just going to go grab some new players. Well, where's all the new players, bro? No one's having kids anymore. Where you gonna get the new player? Huh? You want to view all your players as just bricks in a wall. What happens when there's no more bricks?
He's been doing the same thing with their sports games. And it's no wonder that year over year, live service money and player retention is falling. Players spend time and money in their Ultimate Team modes only to have that completely erased with the next installment. That's why I think it's nearly impossible for some of these struggling live service games to recover, because they've trained their audiences to leave the moment that things get stale. They've made core features feel like an afterthought while monetization takes a priority. They've made every single game feel like a disposable experience, so why should players stay or spend money on them? This kind of loops back to the original discussion I was having before on the long-term consequences of live service games, how the longer they go on, the more the industry loses sight of what actually brings players in. Most of these companies didn't start out making live service games.
Yeah.
They had to make games that delivered value up front. They forgot how to do that. They used to have to make an impact on day one, and they had to hold on to that player's attention immediately. They had to be worth the money, because if they weren't, they failed. That sense of urgency and respect for the audience is gone when you turn a game into a routine. Now, beyond losing players in existing games, the oversaturation of live service games is making it nearly impossible to launch new ones. There are only so many players, and only so many people have the time, money, and patience to dedicate to a single game, yet these companies keep flooding the market with the same type of game competing for the same limited audience. Think about it. Sony planned over a dozen live service games to launch between 2024 and 2025. Where did they think those players would come from? And better yet, how did they expect for any of these games to be profitable when you're making so many live service games that you're not only competing with the industry?
So what was the thought process, at least with Sony? And you know, understandably, like EA is probably going to be responsible for some of those games. If the thought process is, oh, can't make single player games anymore, they're too expensive, we're just going to make a bunch of low quality live service games and try to retain players like that. Like, is that the logic? Just make a bunch of low quality bullshit live service games? Was that the thought process when they were going to do that? Don't make a high risky, high investment type of single player game. Dude, the only single player type of games that they think can be made are like 100 million, 200, 300 million. Is that the only type of single player game that they think is possible?
You're now competing with yourself. You are cannibalizing your own games. What did they expect? How did they think flooding the market with dozens of competing live service games, many of them sharing the same monetization models, gameplay loops, and even development DNA, was going to work? Look, live service games need long-term investment from players. They need dedicated time, engagement, and spending to be successful. Yet Sony and a lot of these other publishers keep trying to go with this shotgun.
Gamers don't aim up. That's why any character that has vertical mobility is actually insanely good.
Approach, launching multiple at once as if players are going to be able to juggle them all. All of these companies are cannibalizing themselves, splitting their own potential audience across too many projects, too many games, and too many financial asks. You can't build a thriving long-term player base when every 6 months you're throwing a new live service game into the ring and expecting it to gain traction. These companies have bet everything on endless live service growth, and instead, well, they've created an unsustainable arms race where games don't have a chance to even establish themselves in the market before somebody else is there trying to take their place.
That's
and the
hilarious.
funny thing is, I've already been proven right, because what was the end result of Sony's big push into live service? Well, over 10 of the known projects that Sony has made for live.
Oh, including a live service God of War game. Oh, wow. What was the God of War game? That was supposed to be like a roguelike God of War. Bro, are you kidding me? You want to make roguelike God of War live service?
Service have been canceled, including the absolute dumpster fire that was Concord with
Updated list of canceled live service games from PlayStation in the past year. Concord, unannounced God of War, Last of Us Online, what the fuck? Spider-Man, The Great Web, Bend Studio Multiplayer, Twisted Metal, London Studios co-op game, Deviation Games multiplayer game, Payback, third-person Destiny spinoff from Bungie, Horizon MMO, NCSoft, Marathon announced, Fair Games announced, Horizon Online Guerrilla Games announced, Bungie Gummy Bears? What the fuck? New Jason Blundell game, Helldivers 2 live. Wow. They wanted to make Twisted Metal live service, Spider-Man live service, Last of Us Online live service. Oh my god.
thousands of jobs lost and hundreds of millions of dollars torched for nothing. The only survivors, Bungie's Concord and Fair Games, which is effectively Concord 2 Payday Boogaloo, and we know exactly how that's going to end. Personally, I
Concord 2 Payday Boogaloo. Look at the like to dislike on this.
can't wait to farm it. Thank you, Sony, for the content. The only game that they actually found success with, Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
A game that was a breakout hit, yet Sony found
I played it. I didn't spend any money on it, but I played it. I enjoyed my time with my buddies on it.
a way to be able to sabotage themselves, wanting to force players into PlayStation login, but luckily they ended up walking that back and the game is recovered. But I'm going to take a wild guess and say that game is not the success that they were trying to bet on. But this was Sony's big bet. They thought live service was the future, and out of the 12 plus games that they were working on, or at least the ones that we know of, only one of them found moderate success. Now they're just stuck cleaning up the wreckage. The reality is that this industry is too competitive and too unpredictable to bet everything on live service. These companies think they're diversifying themselves.
No. They think single player standalone is the risky one, not live service. Live service is the stable one.
By flooding the market with live service games, but in reality, they're all just making the exact same game. Every game has a battle pass. Every game wants you to grind for unlocks. Every game wants you to log in daily. And when everything is the same, nothing stands out. And the worst part of it is that these companies know that the gaming audience isn't infinite. They just don't want to admit it. That's why we're seeing PlayStation and Xbox slowly abandon console exclusivity, because they need every sale that they can get. Square Enix and other publishers are finally putting their biggest franchises on multiple platforms because exclusivity just isn't sustainable anymore. Xbox is putting Forza Horizon 5 and the Gears of War collection on PlayStation, and allegedly they're also going to end up bringing the Master Chief collection over. I'm all for ending console exclusivity, and honestly, Xbox is making a smart move in doing this, but let's not pretend that this is happening because of some consumer first mentality. This is happening because these companies...
Yeah, they'll say it's consumer first, but no, it's business first.
...are desperate. They've overexpanded, overestimated their own success, and now they're scrambling to fix the mess that they've created. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record at this point, but I don't think that video games and publicly traded companies are a sustainable combination. Games are nuanced, creative projects. They do not fit into the corporate mold of ever-increasing stable profits. Investors and executives thought that live service games were the golden ticket. They thought that this was the first way to industrialize an industry that was, by nature, unpredictable. But the reality is, it's impossible. Every game is a risk. Every design choice, every mechanic, every update, they all carry uncertainty. You need that in this industry. That's how games grow. That's how these successful live service games came into existence in the first place. You cannot manufacture guaranteed success in an industry built on creativity and innovation. They're trying to turn gaming into something predictable, and it's like forcing a cylinder through a square hole. It just doesn't work. These games need to evolve. They need to be different. Developers need varied experiences. Players need varied experiences. But instead of fostering creativity, these companies have suffocated it, dumping all of their resources into the same few live service titles year after year. Eventually, they're going to hit a wall. They're going to realize that there's no fuel left in the tank, and when that moment comes, they won't have any creative ability to make anything new to pull them out of that death spiral, because they've spent all their time maintaining the old. But the bigger issue here is that the industry is expanding faster than the player base. The number of games keeps increasing. The number of customers isn't growing fast enough. There's too much supply, not enough demand. And it's not just AAA publishers that are running the show anymore. Smaller studios, indie developers, and solo creators are all claiming their share. Yep. Developer tools are getting easier to use. The barriers to entry are lower than ever. And these corporate giants just aren't competing with each other anymore. They're competing with the entire gaming landscape. And that's a fight that I don't think they're prepared to win. And I don't think it's a fight they can. There are so many factors working against these live service games that I'm surprised that we haven't seen more issues pop up sooner than this. We've seen some of them over time, gradually, slowly but surely, but I think it's all starting to pile up, and it's going to turn into a massive fire here in just a minute, especially with some of these larger established franchises, because keep in mind, what is Activision without Call of Duty? What is EA without their sports games or without...
Well, let me see real quick. Activision. IP, wait, all IP brands under Activision. It's Activision Blizzard. Okay, you got Call of Duty, Candy Crush, Diablos, EJ, no. Hearthstone, kinda, not really. No. No, what the fuck? Overwatch? No, 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 no. Space, Spyro, Tenchu? I think we're getting like a new Tenchu game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. World of Warcraft. They got World of Warcraft. I forgot. It's Activision Blizzard. It's not just Activision. All IP brands. Oh, dang it. With EA games. Oh Jesus. Sims, Madden, Battlefield. Oh yeah, EA is just dog water. I mean, they tried to make a comeback with Dragon Age. Oh, wait, Mass Effect is for EA? I thought it was Ubisoft. Okay, whatever. I just know the next Mass Effect is going to be horrible. Dead Space, Command and Conquer. Nope, nope. Nope, nope. Apex Legends, a popular game. Yeah, it's not looking good, man.
Apex Legends. What is Ubisoft without
Assassin's Creed?
Was it Rainbow Six Siege?
Rainbow and Assassin's Creed.
Like, these are the things that are holding these companies together, and without them, they are in a world of trouble. They are in a world of trouble. And the thing, and how could you not see this coming? You could take any factor and point it directly at the live service industry, and it becomes a problem. Let's look at economics as an example. If I go to buy a video game, I don't really regret that purchase. I don't feel bad for making it if it's a game that I wanted, as long as it's good and it doesn't have any problems, which that usually never ends up being a problem because I wait. I don't pre-order games or anything like that. I wait to make sure it's actually good before I purchase it.
Did you always do that, though? I doubt it. I mean, back in the day, whenever you were like 15, 16, 17, 18, you know, what'd you do? You probably stood in a line outside of GameStop or EB Games at the time, and you waited for the next World of Warcraft. You waited for the next Halo. You waited for the next Call of Duty. Yeah, you waited for the next Ratchet and Clank, so on and so forth. Yes, you did. That's not the case nowadays, though.
Well, I never have a problem with that. If I go to buy a microtransaction, I always feel dirty. I feel weird. I need to shower afterwards because it's not necessary. And if it is necessary, if it's part of power progression or whatever it is, a gacha game or something like that, then it feels even worse because I don't want to be buying those kind of things. Those are the exact opposite of the microtransactions I want to see in games. And then it feels even worse as a result of it. Now,
I mean, understandably, in America, it's a completely different culture than like, I don't know, China or something. They're okay with like pay for power or whatever shit over there. Understandably, over there, it's called pay to lose because it's understood that like if you pay for power, then you're probably bad at the game. That's why you need to pay for the power. Whereas in America, if there's any sort of like pay to win features, it is just immediately ridiculed.
Go and add any type of economic strife on top of that. Raising prices.
Oh, everybody loves economic strife. Everybody loves paying $6 for a carton of eggs. Hell yeah, $4 for gas. If it ain't expensive, it ain't good.
Inflation, people having a hard time finding jobs or whatever. Now they're going to make it even more difficult for them to be able to justify those purchases in those games, regardless of whatever their price is, because they know it's temporary. That brings on another problem because the fact that these experiences are so temporary in the first place. Market is flooded with these games. There's so many different live service games to play. Look how many gotchas you can play, how many first-person shooters or battle royales or whatever. I don't feel like spending money on this stuff because chances are I'm not really going to give a shit about it in about a month or two or 6 or whatever it might be. I know I'm going to walk away from it.
Yep.
You got games like Call of Duty or the sports games that literally just erase all of the money that you spend regardless. So what's the point of even spending money over there?
Yep. It just goes into somebody's pocket at the end of the day, and you quickly realize the life cycle, or just the cycle of money, the pathway it travels. It goes from your pocket into their pocket, divvied out in whatever way, pay the employees, pay the overhead, or whatever. And then any sort of like leftovers or anything that scales up or something like that, it just goes into like a couple people's pockets as a bonus. And then it just stays there. And then they invest it in some bullshit and it stays in the investment account. And they have like their little checking account that has like a couple $1,000,000 in it. But meanwhile, they have like millions and millions of dollars invested in other places. And regardless of whether or not the game industry or company like fails or succeeds, those select few people will still end up in the green. So much in the green, more so than any other employee that is underneath them. And yeah, it's just W's all day for them.
Yeah. It's inevitable at this point that these games are going to run into some serious issues. And again, I'm surprised that it hasn't happened sooner. I think the real reason why we've seen such a big push into live service, because I'm sitting here, I'm like, there's no way that they couldn't see the long-term effects of live service games.
There's no way they could have seen the long-term effects. There isn't. They could not have predicted this. Well, could they have? I don't think so. Because no other game company was doing it. Game companies weren't, like, the trend was to make single player standalone games and then make sequels and then make some DLCs, make some season passes to where you purchase the chunky season pass and in it includes like DLC pack 1, DLC pack 2, DLC pack 3, where it's like you actually get like little mini expansions, new like levels, new equipment and all that shit. But then they wanted to blow that up and stretch it out over the course of 1 year, over 2 years, 3 years. Hell, let's just make it games as a service. I think they only saw like maybe 5 or 10 years ahead. They could not have predicted like the 20-year effect, the 30-year effect that we are going to see.
And then I realize they do. They know it. Because all these decisions are being pushed by CEOs that rarely ever face consequences for their actions, that are there to drive up revenue as much as they possibly can, drain the well, make money for the investors, and then jump ship as fast as they can.
Yeah.
So then they can leave it for the next guy to find out that the whole thing's about to collapse, and then they get to be the guy that can try to save the company if they can. Or you can be like Bobby Kotick, and you can just sell the company to Microsoft and look like a hero.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Bobby. There's so much more here that I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of this. I'm going to do the deep dive video on Call of Duty that's going to be coming up pretty soon. I might end up doing that next week maybe, but
ooh,
that's going to uncover more of these issues, I think. That's a really interesting case with that game. But man, I really do feel like it is just the disposable nature of these games. That's probably the biggest thing that's becoming probably the biggest issue for most of them, is that there's just too many of these games in the market. They're replacing each other too quickly, and everybody is constantly looking for the next game to jump ship to. And over time, not only are you going to have all these disposable games, but you're also going to have the audience that is spread out so much that most of these games likely aren't even going to be sustainable in the first place. They're not going to be able to make enough money to hold on to enough developers to even make content to keep players playing those games in the first place. I think that's a big problem that they're going to run into. Too many games. Like I said before, you got too many fishermen, not enough fish. And that's going to become a really, really big problem.
Too many dog shit games.
At the exact same time, the other thing is that I just think that live service games kind of, fly a flag in the face of like how these studios got started in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Because The only reason that they got to make these live service games is because, well, they made single player or multiplayer experiences that weren't live service games before.
Yep.
And that's how they learned to get the ability to even pull players into their games, to make fans, to create this ecosystem that they have. And the further they get away from that, and the more they only pay attention to this byproduct of the industry, the more they're going to lose sight of what actually got them there in the first place. And when I look at the quality of the games and the quality of the content that's delivered to players, I'm seeing a direct correlation.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video,
Ooh, what's this? IGN has completely crashed out. Ooh, I want to watch that one.
share it with your friends, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, follow me on Twitch. Link is in the description. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Family.
According to Deloitte,
okay.
the story.
Pause. What a dub. What a dub ski. Come on, up thumb. There it is. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic points. Yeah, live service is live servicing. Who knows what's gonna happen in the future for live service? Potentially, it's just gonna, like, this is what's gonna happen. The live service games, you see this graph right here? It's gonna be similar, but it's gonna be reverse. No, it's gonna be like this. It's gonna go brush, or actually line, and you could see this in actually, I don't even need to do this. You can see this in Apex Legends Steam charts all time. It's just gonna go down. It's gonna, I mean, this is a great number, 200K. Fantastic. And people, you got people out here saying, doomsaying, oh, Apex is dying, blah, blah, blah. All right. Where's the trend? It's gonna slowly die. This is over what, 2000 and 2021. Like, when the game come out, like 2018 or 2019 or something like that. It's 2025. The game has been surviving for this long. It's doing great. And this is just the computer numbers. It's just the Steam numbers. There's still people playing Apex on PlayStation and Xbox, and hilariously enough, even Switch. But from here to there, what was the peak? Like sometime in beginning of 2023. It's just gonna slowly go down. Oh, it's kind of going up right here. It's kind of going up right there. Live service will stay around, and just it'll be like the world's longest lasting cockroach. It will never die. It will slowly die at some point, but it's gonna take a real long time. The cockroach is gonna have like a beard, is gonna have a cane, but it's still gonna be alive. Hey guys, it's season 69 of Apex Legends. Who's ready to catch another dub? Same thing for Fortnite. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.